Let's talk about where to write your Wolfram language code. There are several options, but I think the best one to get started with is the Wolfram development platform. And you can access this by going to develop.wolframcloud.com. You'll need to set up an account, but that's easy. It takes just a few seconds. And there is a free level of access. Now, in order to get more sophisticated functionality, especially as far as web deployment goes, you'll need to upgrade your account. But everything we are going to be working with today is at this free level. And there is still a lot that you can do at the free level, and you can certainly learn everything that you want to learn without having to pay anything. Once you're here at the Wolfram development platform, we're going to be writing our Wolfram language code inside a notebook. And so notice that I have create a new notebook right here, and I'm going to click there. And now I'm in my notebook environment where I can type Wolfram language code and have it execute. And of course I can use the cloud platform to save my notebooks and get back to them later. The notebook format for coding is an interesting one because basically what you're going to be doing is writing a little bit of code, maybe 1 or 2 lines, and then asking it to execute that, and you'll immediately see the results. So if you've been doing scripting perhaps in other languages, when you write out a long script and then have to go and have it compiled and executed by another program, you're not going to be doing that here. And in fact, the notebook environment is great for learning, it's great for doing different analysis, and it's particularly good for documenting what you're doing if you're doing scientific analysis or you're doing analytical work where you want to be able to show exactly what you went through step by step. So this is just an empty notebook. So you'll notice over here with this plus, this is where I'm going to start typing my line of code. And you'll notice that if I just start typing, by default it's going to assume that the input that I'm putting in is the Wolfram language. There are some other options. If I were to go back over here and click that plus, you'll notice that I do have the Wolfram language input, plain text, freeform input, other style of text which are like headings and so forth. And if you're familiar with Wolfram Alpha, you can also do Wolfram Alpha queries from within your notebook. Just as a quick example, we could choose to put in a title over here, learning. And now I've put in a title into my notebook. Remember, thinking of kind of the notebook metaphor, where I could put in a title and then I could write a little bit of code and then execute that code and then write a little bit more code and annotate it so you can follow your entire process down. Let's just try a couple of quick basic math concepts. Like if I were to go in here and I were to say 2 plus 2, it would interpret that as the Wolfram language because by default that's what it assumes the input is. And then I want to draw your attention to the difference between just hitting return and hitting shift return or shift enter. Once you've written a line of code and you would like for it to execute, you hit shift enter. So I've hit 2 plus 2 and I'm going to hit shift and I'm going to hit return. And it's going to perform that calculation for me. It's going to execute that one line of code. And so as you can see over here, it does say input line right here was 2 plus 2, and then the output line is 4. It returned the value of that calculation. And of course there is a suggestion bar down here that's sometimes fun to play with if you're just getting started especially, where it will try to suggest some neat things for you to do next, or things that you might want to compute next. I also like to show people when they're getting started that you're entering all this information into different cells. So there's an input cell right here and an output cell. And over here you can see these braces or these brackets that sort of organize all of the cells in a hierarchy. So here's a bracket right here that goes around the bracket for the input and a bracket for the output. If you're working along here and you'd like to delete what you've been doing, especially when you're practicing, here's how you do that. You can come through here and click it so that it's blue. So that bracket is now highlighting both my input and my output cells. And then I can just hit the delete key. And then I can go do something else. So if you're wondering how to get rid of something you may have typed wrong, that's how you do it. So we can verify here that basic mathematical operations do work. When we come back, I want to introduce to you the concept of functions because they are fundamental in the Wolfram language and we are going to be using them a lot.